Many endangered species, including the jaguar, jaguarundi, ocelot, Sonoran pronghorn, and Cactus ferruginous pygmy owl, are dependent on habitat along the border for survival. The ranges of these species do not extend farther north, so if the habitat that they depend upon is destroyed, they will be driven to extirpation in the United States or even to extinction. Border walls will fragment habitat and isolate species currently at risk, undermining decades of conservation efforts. While humans are able to scale an 18-foot wall, most land animals cannot. Walls between Mexico and Arizona will end the hope that the jaguar, which has only recently returned to the United States, will reestablish itself. Sonoran pronghorn require a large area of contiguous habitat in which to forage for food. In South Texas, habitat and wildlife corridors that are critically important to the endangered ocelot and jaguarundi will be destroyed, and access to the waters of the Rio Grande will be cut off. The border's human residents are also being negatively affected by the border wall. When it is complete, walls will slice through neighborhoods, historic districts, Native American sacred sites, farms, and state, county, and city parks. Communities are being bisected, and sister cities in Mexico and the United States with long histories of mutual cooperation are being torn apart. In the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas, walls are being constructed along the flood control levee system, which in places is more than 2 miles north of the Rio Grande. This territory between the levees and the river is effectively being ceded to Mexico, and landowners with farms and homes south of the wall have no guarantee of access. Property has been condemned, homes will be bulldozed, and access to the river for municipal, agricultural, and recreational uses will be disrupted. Although there are many vibrant local border economies, approximately 1/4 of the population in the counties along the border live at or below the poverty line. This is more than double the national poverty rate. In addition, most of the counties in the border region have majority-minority populations. Given these demographics, the potential social, economic, and environmental damage caused by border walls could be magnified and will certainly affect poor and minority communities disproportionately. In the hurricane-prone Rio Grande Valley of South Texas, the border wall is planned to be constructed in or near the flood control levees that parallel the river. A similar levee wall combination is also planned for Presidio, Texas, near Big Bend National Park. No studies have yet been published that describe what impact the wall would have on flooding or on the integrity of these levee systems. And DHS has announced that in order to speed construction, no further studies will be done. The refusal to conduct safety studies of the levee border wall combination reveals that public safety is not a priority for DHS. This disregard could have serious consequences. In July 2008, floodwaters in the sister cities of Nogales, Arizona and Nogales, Sonora were backed up behind the border wall, submerging the Mexican side in 5 feet of water. Subsequent investigations found that in addition to building an impermeable wall on a slope, the Border Patrol had also erected a barrier inside a storm sewer pipe below the wall, causing the flooding. Ordinarily, laws protect us from projects that cause serious harm to human beings and the environment. These laws do not apply to the border wall. In 2005, the REAL ID Act was attached as a rider on an appropriations bill funding the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It contained a provision intended to quash legal challenges to border wall construction. It said, quote, "Notwithstanding any other provision of law, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall have the authority to waive all legal requirements such secretary, in such secretary's sole discretion, determines necessary to ensure expeditious construction of the barriers and roads." Secretary of Homeland Security Michael Chertoff has used this unprecedented new power to, quote, "waive in their entirety 36 federal laws." Although Chertoff is an unelected administration appointee, With the stroke of a pen, he has dismissed decades of protective laws passed by Congress and signed by presidents in order to circumvent court challenges to border wall construction. Many legal scholars view the waiver provision of the REAL ID Act as a grave threat to the checks and balances of the United States Constitution, and constitutional challenges are pending in court. All along the border, people who know that the border wall is useless and who know that it will do terrible damage to our border communities and natural areas already oppose the border wall. We need your help to let Congress know that their quick fix for national security and immigration is having devastating consequences and will go down in history as a tremendous national mistake.